Bro, that's what it's all about, bro. We hunt like wild dogs. Let's get it. Gang on me, gang on 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah!
The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash, with a silver hat about his head, and a bristling black mustache. He growls as he storms the country, a villain big and bold. And the trees all shake and quiver and quake as he robs them of their gold. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won.
Okay, we're in week 11 of the 2025 NFL season, and the Las Vegas Raiders are at home to face the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football. The Cowboys are 3-5-1 while the Raiders are 2-7, so this is a winnable home game for them. That is, if winning is still the objective here. Sometimes I question if it is, but a lot is up to offensive coordinator Chip Kelly. Both the Cowboy offense and the Raider defense has been inconsistent, so that should be a battle either side can win, and not by much. Well, damn. I guess the same could be said about the Raider offense and Cowboy defense too. Both of those units are horrible, but there are some things on that Cowboy defense Kelly can take advantage of. However, there are a lot of things Kelly could have but didn't take advantage of this year. Hence, I sometimes question if winning was actually the objective. Kelly's been called an offensive genius by many in college and pro football, but remember what I said. There's a thin line between a genius and an idiot. We don't need him to be a genius anymore. That didn't work. We just need him to do the things he should do. Yeah, I probably said this yesterday and the day before, and last week and the week before, and the week before that. The Raiders need to get Ashton Jeanty the ball like 25 to 30 times a game. You don't pick a guy number 6 overall unless you're going to do that. You don't have a running back that good on your team unless you're going to do that. Running the ball is head coach Pete Carroll's brand of football, so what's good, Chip? You got your boss off brand, you need to do something about it. The Cowboy run defense is not good, so Kelly and the Raiders should be licking their chops to face this unit. Jeanty should be drooling on himself. The Cowboys are number 28 in run defense and give up the 6th most yards per carry at 4.8. They're tied for number 6 in both rushing touchdowns and runs of 20 plus yards given up too. Then they miss 24.1% of their tackles in the run game. That's below the league average of 23.5%. That plays right into Jeanty's hands. He forces missed tackles 33% of the time, which is 3rd in the league. Another very, very simple thing Kelly needs to do is get the ball to tight end Brock Bowers. He's obviously healthy now. He came back against the Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 9 and had 12 catches for 127 yards and 3 touchdowns. Then for whatever the reason in Denver against the Broncos, he only had 3 targets and he caught one of them for 31 yards. You would think he'd go back to him after that 31-yard catch, but nope. Instead, receiver Tyler Lockett, who hadn't been on the team 2 weeks yet, had the most targets. And get this, the Broncos give up the most yards per catch to tight ends. And don't believe all that jazz about the Broncos double covering them, because they didn't do it that much. If at all, look at the film yourself. Kelly has to take advantage of Bowers' matchup with the Cowboys. Opposing tight ends catch 77% of the passes thrown their way when playing the Cowboys. They also have 3 touchdowns and the Cowboys have no interceptions. Put that together with Bowers being the best tight end in the league and the best player on the Raider offense, and they better get him the ball. Everyone knows Bowers is the number 1 receiver on the Raiders, but everyone wants to know who's going to be the wide receiver 1 now that Jacoby Myers is gone. Come on, that's easy, isn't it? If we're telling the truth here, Speedster Trey Tucker was the wide receiver 1 even when Myers was here. Tucker led the Raiders in receiving yards and touchdowns while Myers is here, and he still does now. But a lot of his work was done earlier in the season. They need to start getting him the ball again. A speedster / deep threat like Tucker is actually the perfect complement to Jeanty in the running game and Bowers in the intermediate and short part of the field. If opposing defenses put a safety in the box, Tucker can beat them over the top. And if they put both safeties deep, Jeanty has room to run. They got a choice to make there. Tucker's also an equalizer if opposing defenses want to double Bowers. They have a choice to make there too. That's what offensive football is all about, making the defense make choices. The Raiders have to at least try the Cowboys down the field with Tucker. They've given up the 6th most explosive plays in the passing game this year. To Genty's presser we go. Genty's from Texas, so they asked him if he's ready to play against his home state Cowboys.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's any different, obviously, growing up there. But, it's still just another game to go out there and, try to get a win.
Then they asked him about the Cowboys adding Quinnen Williams and how that affects things.
He's a great player, so obviously we just got to be better up front and, be ready for those guys. And, we know they're probably going to want to play more of a 5-man front, so we got to win our one-on-ones up front.
I hope this here is resolved to get Browers the ball more.
Yeah, it's the same thing. We have to get him involved. He's obviously our number one threat out there, and we got to continue to get him involved in terms of what we do. Jacksonville and New England were a good example. We didn't do a good job. I didn't do a good job in the Denver game. A lot of those plays that were supposed to go to him, we got sacked on. And part of that was the protection and what Denver could do defensively going in. We knew they had a great pass rush, and so we were in a little bit more max protection. And now you're not being able to uncover them sometimes. So you allow them to double them and do those other things. But part of their scheme allows them to do that too. So, but we're real conscious of knowing what do we have available this week and how do we have to get the ball to those guys.
The Raiders had their best scoring output of the season against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Kelly was asked how much of that is who they want to be on offense.
Well, I think you want to be a balanced football team, and I think we were really balanced in that game in terms of run pass, and that's always an ideal thing is if the defense, when you put yourself in situations where you're not in pass exclusive situations, meaning 3rd and 11 you're probably passing, and everybody in the stadium knows it, everybody on defense knows it, and so you got to face some different situations. On 3rd and 2. You have the option to run the ball or pass the ball. They have to defend more of those things. So I think a lot of it, as I mentioned earlier, is staying in a rhythm offensively, where we were in a pretty good rhythm where 1st and 10 went to a gain of 4 to 6. So now we're in a manageable 2nd and whatever. You can throw it or run it. You throw it and you get a first down, or you run it and now you're 3rd and 1. Now you can throw it or run it again. Then you get the 1st and 10 and now you can throw it and run it again. So I think we're in a better rhythm in that game. We didn't have the penalties that we had in that game. We didn't have the sacks that we had in that game. We didn't have the drops that we had in the last game. And I think those added up. And those are things we talk about. That's us offensively, that we're inflicting that on ourselves. A drop isn't because of defense. That's not a PBU. Like, we're not talking about eliminating PBUs. We're talking about eliminating a drop. We're talking about eliminating a penalty. We're talking about eliminating, holding up better in protection, being able to get the ball out a little bit quicker. And it's a fine line in this game. And it's we're 3 plays away from whatever. I don't know what our record is now. You're a 5-win team. You know what I mean? And you're battling. We missed 2 field goals in a 2-point conversion, but the game is that close, and it's every week is a battle. That's the beauty of the league, and the competitive nature of the league is you can't make those mistakes and expect that you're going to be successful. So we got to continue to correct them, and we got to be able to make sure that it's the defense that's stopping us. It's not us stopping us.
The Raiders don't need all that quote-unquote genius stuff. They don't need to run the tackle eligible near the goal line, and they don't need to run a quarterback sneak on 3rd and 2. I mean, what's next? A center sneak? A fumble-rooski? You might be trying too hard to be a quote-unquote genius offensive coordinator. The Raiders don't even need all that, though. They just need them to do the simple things, like get Genty the ball 25 to 30 times a game. Genty's forcing a lot of missed tackles while the Cowboys are missing a lot of tackles. From there, get the ball to Bowers and Tucker. The Cowboys give up a lot of catches to tight ends and explosive passing plays. Thank you for watching. See you next time.